So Allan, maybe tell us first of all why you decided to speak here this evening at the United Way AGM.
Well, I suspect the main reason is because I'm very passionate about my activities with the United Way. And in particular, this project has been very revealing to not only myself and the members of the Priorities Task Force I've been working with, but it also has been an eye-opener, I think, for the board of the United Way and everyone associated with it. The amount of knowledge contained by residents in Sault Ste. Marie is astounding. People are very astute, and we ought to listen to them more often than we do now.
The big result of that so far is the community task force and also the neighborhood resource center. Maybe tell us how those came about, how they resulted after quite a bit of hard work and a lot of time, a lot of dedication.
A lot of time, better than 2 years of 2.5 years. We brought together the idea of someone to do outreach with people in a specific neighborhood in the community. As I stated earlier, the Gore Street, West Queen Street East revitalization area. We wanted somebody to go out on the streets to meet people who might be without a job, who might be looking for a better job, or in fact was desperate in order to get new learnings, new training, new skills in order to acquire one of those jobs that people know are available in the community. To do that, you have to build a trust issue, because what we heard over and over again is, although there are good services and supports in the community, most people find it difficult to transition from their kitchen to where those supports are, because they see nothing but a bureaucratic morass of how to move from point A to B.
I just wanted to mention that, or to ask you, it seems like it's more of a communication issue, which leads to the change of mindset to get those gaps filled, to have those goals realized, as you talked about, finding a good job that you're able to get, as you say, but they're not able to get easily because the skill sets aren't there, and it's all the little things, isn't it?
It's all the little things. Many of us take for granted that we can wake up tomorrow, realize that we're missing a particular skill set, and only the absence of that skill set is preventing us from moving from today to the good job of tomorrow. And we think that it would be very easy to transition to the Community Career Center or some other support or service organization in order to acquire those skills. However, for a lot of people in our community, that's the part that's difficult. They lack self-confidence. There may be literacy issues. They may be subject to some of the other issues that I talked about. Childcare issues, transportation issues, just the wearing down of poverty in general. And we're going to provide a support in the form of this Options Navigator to actually build a trust with them and transition them from the point they're at now right to the service providers and supports.
Who are some of the people that you brought into those conversations? Who did they represent? You mentioned that one of the wishes that you brought up was a diverse group. Who made up the group to get everything going all those months ago?
The Priorities Task Force are comprised of members of the community from our board, from the Sault YMCA, from Sault College, from the Economic Development Corporation, from City Council.
Were there average citizens that were involved?
And there were all kinds of other people that brought information to bear. But the working group was somewhere between 9 and 14. Principals varied over 2 years, but the nucleus was always 9 or 10, and they are from those organizations we talked about. You have to remember that our whole focus as that group was the feedback that we received from the ordinary citizens of Sault Ste. Marie, the people that really matter. And we saw a number of them in the engaging community conversations. White collar, blue collar, no collar. 17 to 91, equal numbers of men and women. And we listened, and we listened closely. Conversations, 2.5 hours, and in many cases, people didn't want them to end.
That's extraordinary. So what are the next steps then? If you got sort of the physical achievement there, what do you hope to build on that in the future?
What we want to do for the future is spend more time with the second part of what I talked about, which was the building public capital. The idea that you have to continue to go back to your citizenry and ask people what is germane to their lives. What are the hopes and dreams they have for their community? And what are the challenges that come before them all the time that are preventing them from achieving it? We have to repetitively go back and back and back on an ongoing basis for all of our work so that it is grounded in people's lives and asks what they believe and focuses our work on answering their requirements. That's a critical issue as we move forward.
So how soon will we see that, or will that depend on the participants, on the public?
I think that you're going to see the United Way, and I think you're going to see some others across the community, other providers of services who have really had their eyes opened by the Harwood protocols, the Harwood approach to turning outward in our work and listening closely to what people have to say. I think you're going to see a building of that. We like to use the metaphor of the pebble dropped into the pond, and as you look down over the wall, you notice the ripples moving up. I think there is demonstrable evidence now that some of those ripples are moving out in our community, and that's a really critical issue as we're going forward. If our direct, easily seen, hard move to put somebody on the street and actually transition them to places of support and service is effective, and we can measure progress in that regard, we'll look for funding to expand that operative and also expand the size of the community he or she serves.
So we may see some of that in the outlying district too.
You may in time, but before we can take big steps, we need to take the little steps.